Thank you all for attending and welcome to our webinar, Monitoring GIS Data Collection Work with ArcGIS Operations Dashboards. Like I said before, myself, Bill Steele, Business Development Specialist, Jonathan Hodel, President of Cloudpoint, be with you guys today. I'm just going to give you a quick little intro and some reminders here at the beginning. John's going to go through, he's got a couple slides and some demos for you, and we will definitely try to get to questions and answers at the end. So if you guys haven't attended if you have attended webinars of ours before last year, thank you for last year, and thank you again for coming back and joining us this year. We did try to kind of ramp up our offerings, so we did put out a full year's worth, a full slate of webinars. You can find that on our website, of course, but just upcoming quickly, I just want to touch on a couple that we have upcoming. So in a couple weeks, February 10th, we have a webinar on Parcel Fabric, giving record-driven workflows a spin with ArcGIS Pro Parcel Fabric. That's on February 10th. A couple weeks after that, we have a webinar going over using GIS for cemeteries, digital transformation for cemeteries, DIY do-it-yourself paper data conversion. That's on February 24th. And then starting in March, then we have a webinar on NG911, topology to the rescue. So a lot of GIS work in the next generation 911 system that is really being implemented across the nation. Various states are at different points in that, but a really important topic there. Like I mentioned before, we use Zoom for all of our webinars. There's the chat box. I'll be putting some links and some information in there as we go. And then also the Q&A box. So either one, if you need to communicate with us, you can get a hold of me in the chat room. Also, you can submit your questions through the Q&A box, and we will try to get to as many as we can at the end. If we don't get to questions that you guys submit, we will follow up with those, so don't worry. Like I said before, all of our animations in there. All of our webinars you can find those and sign up for those at cloudpointgeo.com/webinars. So our company, just to give you just a brief background, we cover a lot of different areas. Of course, we have our specialties from Esri in release ready, ArcGIS indoors, fairly new, ArcGIS for local government, and ArcGIS online. And we cover a lot of different topics, be it enterprise with our cloud services, be it the AGO setup, cemetery mapping, like I mentioned, working with indoors and working with local governments for data collection, sign inventories, parcel fabric. So a lot of different areas, but today we're going to focus on asset management and, again, monitoring GIS data with those operations dashboards. And here to tell us more about that is John. So John, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you. Take it away.
Okay, thanks, Bill. You're getting pretty fancy on some of them slideshows there, so looks nice. Thank you. Okay, thanks everyone for joining. I'm excited to be here with you today, and we're going to focus on dashboards. Dashboards is a specific tool to the ArcGIS platform. If you have ArcGIS online currently, or if you have users or an organization, then you already have access to these dashboards. So that's important to note out, or to make a note of before we get going, is a lot of people have access to these. They might not even know it, but I want to provide an overview. What we're going to talk about today, I'll give you a brief overview of what they are. We'll talk about the components of a dashboard. We're going to talk about creating dashboards for data collection projects. In this case, we have an active data collection project going on right now that I'm going to pull in some data from. Then we want to show you a couple, if we have time, we'll show some advanced functions on the dashboards, but I'm going to move along pretty quickly here because there's a lot of content to cover, and I know we are somewhat limited on time here. So what are they as far as dashboards? They're an engagement tool, specifically a way to engage with the data, and their purpose is to compile and communicate information. In the example here in the slide, on the right-hand side, we're going to look at this specific dashboard today on how we can start and how we can create something like this. And then who uses them? Managers and decision makers. Very, very valuable. I'm in charge of this project, working with our data collection team. And so I want to be able to see this in real time as they collect data, want to monitor this project, see how things are going for them. So that's very important. So the components of a dashboard And I'm going to be jumping back and forth here, and you'll be happy to know I only have a total of 8 slides, I believe, or 7. So this is not going to be a lot of slides. It's going to be more hands-on, showing you the actual dashboard work. But number one, we need an ArcGIS Online account to use these. Okay. Number two, we need a data source, and I'll talk about what those are and what they look like. And then number three, we need a dashboard shell, and that's probably the easiest part to create. So let's jump into it here on what we've got. So this is my ArcGIS Online account, but if you just go to arcgis.com, I just want to kind of show you what this looks like from the ground up. I would come here and I'm going to sign in. Okay, and then I'm going to sign into my account. Some of you may or may not have access to this already, and you want to make sure you get your correct username and password. Okay. So now I have my ArcGIS Online account, and when you go to your ArcGIS Online account, depending on what kind of privileges or permissions you might have, you should be able to see you have an area of content, which is a key area. This is the content, and it could be layers, it could be maps, it could be tables. This is all information that I've either created on ArcGIS Online or I've uploaded it from my computer through the ArcGIS Pro software. So I've got a lot of content here to work with, which is nice. But the content, I want to be able to engage with it. So using the dashboard, they have what we call up here on the top right, the Brady Bunch button. And you can see when you click on that, I've got a couple options here for dashboards. I've got the traditional dashboard add-on or extension, however you want to word that. And then I've got another one called beta. There's really no difference. You wouldn't notice it just going into it. It's only that beta allows you to do a little bit more customizing with programming language. The programming language is called Arcade, but we won't get into that for this demo. So I'm going to go to the dashboards application here. And again, this is just a add-on that comes with, I guess, ArcGIS Online. So you have this if you have your ArcGIS Online account. So what I want to look at now is if we're going to create a new dashboard, well, that's pretty simple. This interface makes it very user-friendly. So I can click Create Dashboard. Okay, and then I'm going to give it a title here. Data collection dashboard, and we'll give it some tags. I'll say temp, we'll say water, utilities. Those tags are nice to help you keep your data organized. I'll leave off a summary, and then we'll just go ahead and create that. Okay, so this is what I see when I first create a dashboard. I've got nothing, it's empty. It's like a blank chalkboard. But on one hand, I kind of like that. It's use your creativity a little bit. However, it is nice oftentimes to have a guide. So, maybe you've seen other dashboards you want to model, and we'll take a look at the end of some various examples to just give you a good idea of what they're for. But in this case, what I need to do is I need to add some components here. I need to have something in this dashboard to be able to show my data. So the first thing I will focus on here will be adding some content. So I'm going to first add my map. You can add all these other peripherals, but once you add those, it's going to ask for a data source. So usually I start with a map. You don't have to have a map in your dashboard, but hey, we're GIS people. We love maps, and so that's just what we do. So we're going to throw in a map here today, and I'm going to look up this one. I'm going to selecting my map that would have been in my content that I showed you earlier. I have this map already available to me. And let's go ahead. I'm just going to leave these settings as is. I could, make a lot of different settings here on the map just for this example and pull it in. So what we've got here is a water system that we are currently collecting data in the field. So our users in the field, our field crew is out there. They're running a Trimble R2 unit, and it's Bluetoothed to an iPad. And on that iPad, they have ArcGIS collector for ArcGIS. That's Esri's native app. If you have an ArcGIS Online account, you can collect data and you can collect that data, and it's publishing straight to your account as you collect it in the field. And of course, you need an internet connection out there. And so our field crews out there as they collect the information, and they're not out there today, but we've been out off and on here, weather permitting, but as they collect it, it immediately shows up in my web map here. And that's nice because of the real time factor. I can monitor it in real time, kind of see where we're at on our progress. But now I want to be able to add some functionality here. So the things I'm going to use is, number one, I'm going to constantly be coming up here to my add features or add functions section for the dashboard. And let's just say, for starters, I'm going to just put in a header. Let's make this, look kind of nice. So we'll just say data collection for our title. And then of course, there's a lot of different settings there I could use. We'll just put in our website. That might want me to put in more of a link there, but we'll just click OK, see what we get here. Okay, so here's my header up there that I just put in. Pretty easy to add that. And let's say for my header now, here's the key. With these, once I add a widget or anything to my dashboard, you see as I hover over my map, there's a little blue thing up here. That's my little settings for that map. And then I hover over the header, and there's a little blue thing for that header. So this is how I can separately manage those different widgets. I call them widgets, but they're actually, I don't know, tools, I guess you could add to them. So for our header, what I want to do is I want to add a drop down that will allow me to pick which features I'm interested in. So in order to do that, I don't necessarily go to here to add it because my header's in there. I'm going to go to the configuration, and I'm going to do this add category selector. And when I click this, what it's going to do, I want to add a drop down at the top of my header that allows me to pick which type of feature I'm interested in seeing that we've been collecting in the field. Okay, so in order to do that, first of all, we have to have a data source. All right. So in this case, it says no data, but as soon as I went there, I'm going to go back there again. I want to see, instead of define values, that would be like if you wanted to tell it, here's my drop down options, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I want it to be grouped values, and I want to get this information from one of my data layers. Okay, so these are layers that I'm seeing here that are living in the map. Of course, I have water service lines, water mains, but this one called water features is the one I'm really interested in because these are the actual GPS points that are being collected in the field. And the category, I want to divide these up as by type. So in my layer, type represents hydrants or valves or whatever. That would be, I'm gonna categorize those by type. And then I can select how many categories I want. Type is going to be, it's going to be ascending. So it'll be alphabetical order when I click my drop down. My layer, I'm going to do feature type, my label, excuse me. So this is what it's going to look like, my little drop down menu here. Okay. And we'll click the none option because I want to have the option to show, well, not to filter any, but I'm going to change the wording to say all, because when nothing's filtered out, it's going to show all of my features. So that's why I do that. And in this case, I'm just going to name it. This is just a name that doesn't show up as a label, but I'm just going to call it feature selector, or we'll say type selector. Okay. So my feature type selector, I'm going to click done. Now you'll see what that did on the top right-hand corner. I just added a feature type selector, and I have a typo there, but this is nice. Now you'll notice when I click that drop down, these are all the different types of features that are living in that layer that we connected. So right now you'll notice if I click meter, nothing happens. Okay, my map looks the same. So let's go back to our category selector. Now remember, since I added that, I have a new little configuration tool up here in the corner. I'm going to configure this drop down. It's going to take me right back to where we just were because I want to make a little adjustment there. I want, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I want to be able to add some actions to this. Okay. Now the action I want to add is when I select a type of feature that I want displayed on my map. Okay. I want something to happen here. In this case, I want to filter. I'm going to say I want to filter the layer in my map. Okay, so that's a good place to start. As I select that, it's gonna filter that. All right. So now at this point, and I'm big into saving as you go, so I'm gonna go ahead and save my dashboard just to make sure I can hang on to the changes I've made. So now as I select my features, let's see what happens if I select hydrant. Okay, you can see my map changed, all right? So, and these curb stops are in a separate layer. So those are going to be on regardless, but I could turn them off, but I'll leave them on for now. But if I want to select meter, now only my meters are showing up for that layer. And I'll tell you what, let's see if we can make an adjustment to our map. I want to turn off that layer in my map for display purposes. I can say layer visibility. I want to see that. And now you'll see that it added this little icon up here in the top corner. And if I say, hey, I don't really want to see my curb stop locations, that'll help clear things up a little bit. Now I have that built in. So back to our selector tool up here. If we just want to see hydrants, I can toggle those on. In this case, let's just say I want to see everything for now. Okay, so I'm going to save that. So now what I'd like to do though is I'd like to add what's called an indicator. And an indicator is simply a way to easily represent a number, like a number of hydrants or a number of valves. So again, I'm going to come up here to my plus sign. I'm going to add an indicator. All right, it says, okay, what layer in your map do you want to add an indicator for? Well, again, it's water features. I'm going to be focused on this one primarily. So far, we've collected 1,178 features. Well, that's all my features. What if I just want to see hydrants or I just want to see valves? Well, I'm going to leave it as is for now, and I'm going to click OK. And right now it takes up the whole left side of my dashboard. Well, I don't want that. I want this to be a little smaller. So I'm going to, again, I've got a new drop down for this little window I just created for this indicator. I'm going to drag it. This is one of the beautiful things about the ability to use dashboards. Very user-friendly way to drag, or in this case, I guess I should just shrink it there. Okay. But you can see how easy it is to make your dashboard, make adjustments and different things there. So one interesting thing here is, if you remember, we made the drop down up here. I want that drop down to filter my total number of features. So when I select hydrants, I want to know how many hydrants I have. Well, that's really pretty easy to do. And that's, again, we go under the drop down. We're going to go back to that action tab. And I go under settings in that drop down, go to actions. And then I'm going to go to say, I'm going to add a target. And now you'll see I have an indicator showing up here. So it says, hey, I want to change my indicator when I change this drop down. Click OK there. All right, I'm going to save that. So now when I select hydrant, whoops. Yeah, when I select hydrant, you see that number change. Now I got 438 hydrants, and I'm going to change to shutoffs. I've got 10 of those, and meters, so I can easily toggle back and forth. Now let's say I want to have a list of those as I toggle them. Okay, so we're going to go add a list. And I'm going to say features again. Okay, I'm just going to add that list. I'm going to drag it underneath here, and I'm going to move a little bit faster here because I know I'm going to be out of time before you know it. So we'll say, okay, so then my list is not filtered at this time. I've got to tell it from my drop down up here again, settings, actions, and I want this to filter the list here. So my list shows up here. Okay, so now as I select something from my drop down, like hydrants, now it filters the indicator and my list. And of course, my list just says hydrant, 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 hydrant. Well, I want to customize that and make it look a little cleaner. So I'm going to come here under general and list, and this is where I can control what it says. Okay, it's going to say hydrant, and maybe I want to add in an ID number, and I want to see a date. So I've got a GPS date in here as well. Let's see if we can find that. Positions, I'll just say creation date. Okay, then I'll select OK. And you'll see how that updates my list. So I've got some functionality built into my list there. So, okay, so moving on. So that's how you add different tools, different features to your dashboard. So that's a great way to be able to easily bring it to life and add some functionality to there. So again, you're creating the dashboard, you're adding a data source, which is your map or your layers, and then you're adding these peripheral items. And then lastly, what I'd like to do now that I've created that once I have that dashboard finished, I want to be able to share it. Okay, so sharing is kind of a different, a little bit of a different function there. And I'm going to go back to kind of review where we're at on our slides here. So data sources, peripheral items that we add around there. Now, lastly, we want to cover sharing. Okay, so I saved my dashboard. I'm going to go back to my content. Okay, I'm going to refresh this. And this is, again, my ArcGIS Online account. And if you're new to this, you wouldn't have near as much content. It probably wouldn't look quite as busy. But here I found my new dashboard that I just created. And what I want to do is select this. And this is the details of my dashboard. And I want to share this with some other users in my organization. It's really fairly simple with this to share it. You come down here, or you can select share here. And you can share it with anyone in your organization, or you can actually share it with the public, as long as your layers are available to the public as well. So I could do that, make it available to someone just within my organization or the public. If it's just my organization, I have these groups set up. In this case, I could share it with that particular group that I'm interested in. So that's how you share your information within your organization. So very useful. It really helps bring these dashboards to life when you can start sharing them. But there's all kinds of functions you can add in there. And we'll just take a look here at the completed example of what this would look like. If we had time, we could walk through how to set all this up, but it's all similar to how I showed you with the setup, being able to add the different functions and then hover over and select their settings. And I think we'll try something here. Equals edit. See if this allows us to edit here. No, it wouldn't allow us to. Okay. But you can see this is kind of the end product, and this is, I'm viewing this from a viewer perspective, so I don't have the editing capabilities right now in this particular dashboard. But this just gives you an idea here. You can have these gauges to show you % complete. You can show how many features were collected in one day. So here on December 2nd, we collected 72 valves just by hovering over that. So a lot of really useful information you can have in your dashboard, and you can share this with operations managers and decision makers of all kinds. So really, really valuable here. And before we finish up, I did want to just show some examples for you. So this one here, this is Esri's, try our dashboards page. And we can put these in the links later on or send them out to you. But it just gives you some examples on how you might want to consider using dashboards and different, little different tutorials there and whatnot. Another one with Esri dashboard resources. Here again, you have several examples of different dashboards that you can try, you can experiment with a little bit. All kinds of, you can see engaging tools and functions you can bring into these. Again, all you have to do is have your data source, which is either a layer, a map, a table, things that you've published or created on your ArcGIS Online account. Here's one I always like, and I've looked at this one not as much anymore as I used to, but certainly the COVID dashboard here, which is kind of cool to see actively, number of cases. You can see how they've increased over time on the chart. And again, having these different tabs, this is kind of fun to see the different tabs. And the way you do that, just real quickly, is you use the function. If you drag this and you say hover over the middle of it, says stack the items. Then now you have tabs down here and they're stacked. So that's a little hint for you there on a helpful tool to be able to stack different things in your dashboard. One that we've put together just recently, and Bill has helped me out with this quite a bit, is being able to put together a project portfolio. So we have a project portfolio for Cloudpoint showing us our different types of projects. I could say, okay, just show me the asset management or utility projects, and then it filters my map. It filters my list. I can click on one of these. We'll just click on the water project, and it takes me in, zooms into that, and shows me a description and information on that particular project. So just a really helpful way to be able to engage with our projects there and be able to show it off to potential customers as well. One really nice one, and again, this gets a little bit more advanced, but I really like this. This is just a sample from Esri. This is a real-time snowplow monitoring dashboard, very applicable to this time of year. What's neat about this is it summarizes where the plow trucks are at in real time. It gives you some information on truck speeds, on the status of the plowed streets. And then it also ties in complaints. We've got this connected to a complaint dashboard. If somebody wants to log in and say, hey, my street's not plowed, or whatever issue that might be, and then it kind of compiles those based on how many complaints you have. What's also nice is I can select a specific truck. So let's go with truck 1, and it's just going to filter out and only show that truck. I can say, hey, show me where truck 1's been for the last 30 minutes. That's what this toggle up here will do, is show me a 30-minute trail or a 1-hour trail for truck 1. Or I can change to a different truck, and this is going to show me truck 2506. And I've got it set to an hour history. So this shows me where that truck's been in the last hour. And it also shows me in real time truck speed and a variety of things. So really helpful information there and examples on those dashboards. And then lastly, I'll show you kind of it's kind of fun to let people in on some top secret information here behind the scenes at Cloudpoint. I feel like I'm the doctor, what's his name? Back to the Future, the doctor. Somebody stick that in the chat window if you can think of who he is. Doc Brown, that's right, thanks. So Doc Brown, and showing Marty the flux capacitor here. So this is kind of one of the things we've been working on kind of behind the scenes. Bill mentioned we do some indoor mapping, and we're putting together basically a reporting tool when someone reports a problem and say, in this case, the room needs cleaning, and we can click on that and go, jump right to that area, that location that needs cleaning or updating. So kind of a variety of things we can report. It's all reported through, like they have an interactive map, and for the sake of time, I probably won't pull that up, but just it's a survey 123 entry form, and then they can say, hey, my light's broken, and then that pops up here, and it also gets assigned to an individual to address that. So just another cool way to implement dashboard tools and functionality. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Bill. Really appreciate you joining in today, and we've got tons of resources available for you, and I'll let Bill kind of finish things up here. So thanks, everybody.
Absolutely. That was great, John. Thank you. Folks, if you have any questions, the Q&A is open. We've got a couple minutes here. Nothing submitted so far. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with some contact information for everybody. So once again, thank you so much for attending today. First one of 2021. So we're excited to get back into this groove of presenting just a lot of good topics, a lot of good information about GIS and all the ways we can use it and all the ways that we can use it for you as well. With that in mind, of course, feel free to get a hold of us any point in time. I put our emails up there, both John and myself, the office number as well. Of course, we're all over social media. So you can like, share, favorite, follow YouTube channel. We try to upload videos fairly often, just short clips, nice little tutorials, tips and tricks to our YouTube channel as well. And which, speaking of, we do record all of our webinars. So we do have a recording of this. I will be trimming it up and sending that out. That's, of course, free access. We give that to everybody that attends, along with any other pieces of information that we might pertinent to the topic send along as well. So,
hey, Bill, one thing I'll just chime in quick is the cost. If people are wondering on the cost of the ArcGIS Online account or users, the typical pricing for those users for ArcGIS Online, it's about $500 a year. So it's very affordable as far as cost for Esri goes. And then there's different users depending on what level of functionality you want for them. So just to give them a rough idea on how that is, and very simple to get ArcGIS Online account up and running and be able to use these tools that we were showing.
Perfect. Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and put a few more links in there as well. So to learn more specifically about what we can offer for asset management, visit cloudpointgeo.com/asset management. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the link straight to the contact page in there as well. So feel free to contact us through the website on our contact page, or email us directly, or give us a call here at the office. We're more than happy to talk with you guys, figure out any projects or problems that you need that GIS can help solve. So once again, thank you all for attending today. I will keep your eyes open. I'll be following up with an email with the recording, link to the recording, and some other information as well. And again, hopefully we see you again at some of our other webinars, and hopefully later in the year we can actually maybe see you guys in person a little bit at some conferences as things open up and get a little safer. So once again, just want to thank you guys for attending first one of 2021, and we hope to see you all real soon. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.